A panel, New Web3 Paradigms in Hollywood. Moderator, the lovely Joyce Chow. Panelists, Aksu, founder and CEO at Untold, Leo Matchett, co-founder and CEO at Decentralized Pictures, Akeem Ojuko, co-founder at Script TV, and Adam Morse, co-founder at Outlier Entertainment. All right, we'll set up a few. I need 5. Sorry. All right, everyone, thanks for your patience. We're gathering. And just to let you know, we're recording all of the sessions, and so you'll have access to watch any sessions that you might have missed or want to rewatch. I might as well make some announcements that are pertinent to evening events. Tonight's dinner will be at the Buddha Bar at 7 to 10 p.m. Lunch is still scheduled for 1 to 2:15. There may be some adjustments in the afternoon sessions on timing, but we are going to make it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, here we go.
Wow, okay, Web 3.0 in Hollywood. This is probably one of the most exciting things that are coming along, besides disrupting film with NFTs. Because Web 3.0, as everybody knows, is one of the hottest topics that are going on. And so we're going to ask Ollie first, because Ollie was working a lot in Web 2. Now he's working in Web 3 with Untold. So we're going to go right into Ollie and have you share the differences.
Differences between Web 2 and Web 3?
Yes.
I think I would totally call my CTO for this answer, but if I will answer, I'd say right now what we've been doing the past 2 years, essentially as Untold, we operated as Film Capital.io, and we let people invest in movies. We operated privately for 2 years, and that was our Web 2 experience, I guess. And now we have an SEC license to scale and accept unaccredited and accredited investors invest up to $5 million. So now I think the first integration with Web 3 will be payments. So because we're SEC registered, most of it is about us convincing SEC that it's okay. But I think we'll start with Bitcoin or USDC. So we're considering all these options, and we'll make a decision soon.
Okay, now you're talking about considering options. How close are you to launch?
You mean the launch is very soon. So we'll go live next week in terms of accepting cryptocurrencies. We will see which one we partner with. Right now, we're having conversations around those integrations, and I think it's going to be our key component to Web3.
That's exciting. Always in the development stage. It always is.
I think the integration is, if you ask me, hey, can you accept Bitcoin tomorrow? The answer is yes, I can, and I'd be happy to. And I think our payment processor will be happy to, but again, it's a regulated. I think Harris will speak about that later on, but it's about the legal part of it, if we can accept it or not. If you ask me, I would love to accept USDC.
Okay. Well, Akeem is a Script TV, and he's been working a lot with Web3 products.
Yeah, exactly. I think we built a watch-to-earn linear TV platform. Linear in the sense that if you were to sit and watch TV on your sofa, and we've created that experience on chain, and actually built a protocol from scratch that's ultimately allowing us to save, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for companies that have large video storage issues, and bringing it on chain through our protocol. But we also have a front-ended user experience which allows people to watch, from thousands of different hours of production level content, and essentially, have a good time doing so and earn something and get some rewards for it.
What do you think are the biggest advantages from a user standpoint for Web3 versus Web2?
I'd say the opportunity to gain rewards immediately. I think, from Web 2, the architecture and the technology will always allow there would need to normally be some form of extra step. Whether you need to sign up to a form, whether you need to get something sent to your address, and of course, what tokenization allows is that ultimately through a process, whether it's automated or not, that I can do something, whether it's something straightforward or something more complicated, and I can get now a reward through to my wallet. Because I think a lot of the time that we speak about Web3 benefits, we always talk about community, right?
Right.
But the reality is Discord existed in the Web 2 world. It's just been now kind of something that's been more important in Web3 and crypto. But I'd say, the tokenization is really, really the biggest benefit. And that's the thing that, ultimately, I always say, the closest thing to our company from a user experience perspective is a company called Pluto TV. And, most people haven't heard of them, but they got...
My friend started that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Poison, yeah.
Exactly. And they've done an incredible job. They've got 55 million daily active users. And they are a linear experience in Web 2, but as of course your friend knows, one of the things is that they're not, they are providing experience to users where they can watch TV, but there is no tokenized or there's no rewards on the back end. So that's something that we feel we can give from the user side, and then on the enterprise side, we've got really a huge offering which can save a significant amount for companies, not just in the film and TV space, but also we've got a huge holiday maker that we work with that is upending their video storage and basically their intranet and their video training, bringing it on-chain and saving them a whole bunch of money from that perspective.
Well, part of the industry is about streamlining what's going on. And Leo has been a big fan of technology and entertainment and streamlining the process. So what do you think is the best way to streamline this process to go to Web 3.0 and what's going on in Hollywood?
To streamline it, well,
Yeah.
Innovation. I think that the more people that are working on it, the more user-friendly it will become, and essentially allow more people to onboard and not feel so sort of threatened by it. I feel like one of the biggest barriers is key management and self-sovereignty of web value and information is really what Web3 is all about. So there's this sort of conundrum where people don't necessarily want to take responsibility for their own keys, but they have to participate truly in Web3. I mean, there are some non-custodial social login wallets like Beacon, and Tor.us is doing some stuff with that, but and so I say that's sort of like a middle ground, right? Like you don't get your private key, but you're still using a non-custodial Web3 wallet. And I feel like that has streamlined the onboarding process for some companies and users, but it's a tough one. So like maybe you could explain what it is specifically you mean by streamlining it.
Okay, let's do that, of course. For a lot of the people that are watching, you're probably pretty familiar with blockchain and what's going on, but also from the creative side and entertainment. There's a lot of companies that are coming out here, and they're going, we want to do something with Web3, but we have no clue what it really is other than Web 3.0. And they're reading it and going, what exactly is it, and how can I benefit? We hear community is important, but what does that mean to me? How do I need to prepare differently? And how can I either raise money? How can I make a better project? Is my project now, instead of 10 years or 5 years or 3 years in the process, can you make it 1 year before I can go from idea to actually filming it and getting it out there?
Right, yep. I feel like the tool sets these days for building are, becoming much, much better as compared to how they were, say, 2017. There's so many open source contracts out there. There are even, docs, extensive documentation on the bigger chains like Ethereum. So, I feel like the life cycle and the build process is getting quicker for sure. There's still a long way to go. There's not the sort of drag and drop tools as much as there is in the Web 2 world, where you could build a website by clicking and dragging. I have seen a couple projects that, claim to be able to build smart contracts without coding, but I'm not sure that I would trust them for sure at this point, but I've never actually used them. But all that kind of innovation I feel like is very important, and that will streamline and speed up the development process and hopefully encourage more and more building.
Absolutely. What would you say you do best in Web3?
Myself?
Yeah. That's okay. I'm getting to you too, Adam.
I would say I'm a pretty security conscious person. In terms of my OPSEC, I take that pretty seriously. I do some development. I'm not a great developer. I have some great people on our team that are good. But I think for me, it's about the intersection of Web3 and Hollywood, right? So.
Yep.
What we're doing is, we're designing a protocol to essentially make the decision-making process about who deserves and who should receive support in Hollywood transparent, immutable, and as fair as we can. So I would say what I do best is, that figuring out how to, bring those resources to the world. So what we've created is called Decentralized Pictures, and it essentially is a protocol that will, pay reviewers for giving opinions on which films they like. So it's a peer-to-peer payment system essentially between a submitter and a reviewer. And through that process, we get a ton of data that we can then bring to our partner network to set the films up or the talent up to get representation. So it's a nonprofit, and it's about talent discovery and content curation. So I'd say that's what I do best.
That's pretty awesome, especially for the entertainment industry. That really changes how everything happens.
Yeah, it's about the mission of the nonprofit is to promote the cinematic arts, and we have a fantastic team. It was founded by American Zoetrope, which Francis Coppola and George Lucas started in 1969. It's on the board. We have Sofia Coppola, Francis's daughter, and Roman is my co-founder. We've partnered with amazing filmmakers to help us create opportunities for filmmakers. Like Steven Soderbergh just gave us a really big donation, and he's going to be mentoring and guiding some of the winning filmmakers that come through the platform. We're very excited about it.
And of course, we have to give Akeem a chance. What do you do best in Web3?
So we've all been put on the spot.
Yes.
I would say, look at I would say creativity. I think we've had conversations, and I think a previous panel even earlier, I think Charlie was mentioning it about how we've seen a lot of the same cycles even with NFTs, but as I've always, I said this 2 years ago when I first bought, a punk, for example, it's only 1%, 2% max of, of the space of what we've seen NFTs be able to ultimately do. And I think the same goes for protocols, the same goes for tokenization, the same goes for reward structures. I think, all we've seen is a really basic layer of, do something, get something in return. But we've not really seen it really blend into real life, and something that's scalable and sustainable. So that's kind of really, I would say, the best thing I do in Web3. Is really difficult, but I mean, it's really just kind of exploring beyond, the pale, exploring beyond what we've got so far, and trying to do more with it.
Well, this is the new exciting world of Web3. And how things are changing. Now, of course, things are also changing for you, Adam. You just launched Outlier Entertainment with Emmanuel Kelly and Chris Martin from Coldplay. So can you tell us more about Outlier and how you guys are looking to change the world of entertainment?
Yeah, sure. So Outlier Entertainment is a company with a mission to enable the world differently. It's about representing differently people like myself and Emmanuel, and everybody else out there who's been a victim of prejudice or discrimination, and being able to show people that there is value and worth in differently abled artists, and it doesn't cost anything more to hire, and the end product that can be delivered is just as high quality as anybody else out there. There is this stigmatism that surrounds disability. I mean, even the word itself, there's negative programming. When you hear that subliminally, you're not in control of processing what that does to your brain when you hear that. It's just, a fact that disabled, you're capable of less. You know what I mean? For myself, I'm registered blind. I'm a filmmaker. I kept my condition secret for the first 10 years of my career until I came out of the blind closet, and now I'm completely open about it. But it was only after I delivered my first film my first feature film as a director, and then I started telling everybody, because I wanted to prove that I could do it, and lead by example to inspire other blind artists, aspiring artists, or not just blind artists, but anyone who's differently abled out there. So, with that notion, I met Emmanuel Kelly, and we shared this vision for what we wanted to do to impact the world, not just through entertainment, but Outlier Group, which owns Outlier Entertainment, is going to be tapping into other markets in a multitude of different sectors, from banking, talking to Western Union right now, and property, retail. I mean, we really want to go across the board globally to... This is an untapped market in the trillions, the differently abled market. Mm-hmm. If companies were thinking about that audience or those customers, specifically, and how to target them and how to be more accessible to them and represent, and going back to entertainment, that's where it's starting for us. First of all, is making movies, breaking music artists, and yeah, of course, this is a sort of bandwagon thing now. It's been this minority that have been the forgotten people for the longest time, and I think it's amazing everything that's been happening in recent years for diversity. It makes me really happy when I look around and I see that there's more inclusion and representation on the screen in Hollywood for ethnic minorities and females and other and other groups of people. But we've still been waiting for the right representation for differently abled and disabled people, and so we're the ones now who are going to lead the charge and do our part to try and make that difference to end the stigmatism and change the world.
Thank you. And what are you guys doing in Web3?
So Web3 is obviously a new space for all of us. It's relatively new, but for myself, I started a production company in 2012 called Holyfield Productions, which is going to naturally be working with Outlier Entertainment, which obviously I'm a part of. And I'm also partnered with a company called MovieCoin, which you may have heard of. They've been doing the rounds around here, and a dear friend of mine, James, is the founder of that. And we've been working together on tokenizing for a few film projects. Now, on the slate of films that we have in development, we're now looking forward to the marketing and the release of these films, and anticipating, okay, how do we capitalize on the content in the Web3 space? So designing NFTs, but trying to envision ways that we can take product placement of new original brands that we want to birth inside our film franchises and bring them into the physical world. Doing that through the Web3, customizing our own metaverses and creating film experiences for audiences who can become stakeholders in the films, but also then be inside the movie itself, mm-hmm. in these little customized metaverses, creating interactive experiences, everything you can imagine and more, really. There's obviously a lot more for us to discover together in this space. So we're trying to be ahead of the curve and give the audiences and this is the beautiful part in my opinion, is we're now making audiences stakeholders, mm-hmm. and giving them the best experiences that they can possibly have.
Absolutely. So you are here next to three pros in this Web3 space.
I'm a little out of my depth, yeah.
What would you like to ask any one of them?
'Cause Joyce doesn't know.
Well, I guess like, open question to all three of you. How do you guys see the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years panning out in this space?
I think that that's a very good question. There will, well, I don't want to say there will. There may be a paradigm shift in, I guess, the ability for artists to maintain ownership of their IP, and I hope that there is. I think that there will also be a paradigm shift in terms of the control that the incumbents have over the artists in terms of distribution. The tools are there now to really, not put out of business, but force a shift in terms of how certain businesses operate that have basically operated with impunity for a long time. And someone is really gonna nail that. There's a lot of people that are working on it right now, but to think NFT ticketing, on-chain payments at exhibit halls, or streaming, and you can basically track all of the revenue that whether it's a film or a song or any sort of piece of art really takes in. It really removes players like Vintage or Freeway, these collection account management companies that control a lot of the industry that we're in, and so I think that now that this technology exists, it's only a matter of time before they're forced to shift their business model a little bit. And you see companies like AMC now taking Dogecoin at the theater and trying to sort of be hip and cool and bring in a little bit of this crypto wave to make it seem like they're down. But that's not really changing anything in my mind, because it's still the same accounting practices with regards to the producer's pool or the distributor's pool or the various stakeholders along the way, and the people that are taking their cut. I think that there's going to be a paradigm shift in terms of the controlling of IP and the power that the exhibitors have.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think one of the key things that, especially in the film and TV industry, that is just so hard to get hold of is data. And I think it's a closed. It was a closed loop with so many businesses and distribution that in Web 2, where a lot of filmmakers' holy grail was to go and sell to Netflix or Amazon. But what normally happens is that it takes 3 months to do the deal. It's 90 days of invoicing. You don't get any data at all, which people don't know. They get zero data, and more importantly, they don't also get actually paid very much. So a lot of it is actually just you're just doing it for branding to say, I'm on a certain platform. So now it's kind of giving power to the creators, it's giving power to the producers, giving power to musicians, depending on which platform they're distributing to or going to, and it's giving them power. It's giving them faster payments. It's giving them no red tape. It's giving them the opportunity to go from saying hello to the platform to getting paid for the first time within days or weeks rather than months. And it gives them data, because a lot of people don't realize that, as a new filmmaker or, as a new musician, the truth is, without data, you don't know anything about your audience. You don't know, what your demographic is. You don't know, hey, did people only watch the first 20 minutes of my film? Why is everyone falling off at the end of my film? You call Netflix and ask that, that they'll put the phone down. You won't get any of that information. So I think, the way the world is now and what Web3 is bringing is that it's bringing kind of, you're forcibly out in the open for everything. Every single part of your business is essentially open source and laid bare for everyone to see, and that has allowed people almost to kind of expect in Web3 that, I'm going to get data, and not just from a producer, but a user as well. And that's what platforms are giving now. And I think, the next 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to see companies now actually not having all the power and actually, users expecting something more than paying hundreds of dollars for subscriptions and giving data away and getting nothing back. And producers and creators and filmmakers are now going to expect more rather than just distributing their film and, hoping for a good check, at the end of the day. So I think that's what's really exciting. It's empowering users and empowering creators and empowering filmmakers. And that's the most important thing I would say is happening over the next couple of years in this industry anyway.
Ollie, can you give a quick answer because we're going to wrap up?
I'll do my best.
Right afterwards.
So I think in the next 5 years, what's going to happen, I'll just answer this question in 3 different segments. One, production. In production, I think the finance will be disrupted heavily. We're working on it. So digital securities, tokenization of assets will be very important. And for that, again, regulation is very important. Switzerland is actually accepting digital assets, but as you see in the US, is still working on it. They don't see digital security as securities yet. So I think that's going to be the biggest change in the next 5 years. And again, we're working on that heavily. People will be able to invest in movies just like they invest in startups. Right now, you can see platforms like Republic, like Seed Invest, right? Many, like Start Engine. And a lot of people go and invest in startups. In early 2000s in Silicon Valley, with the startup boom, .com boom, VC boom, whatever you want to call it, people flocked into the area and started investing in startups. I think the same thing will happen in films. And people investing in films will be normal and will be profitable and will be okay because it's actually a startup and the product is in the can. So we'll just, we'll spread this idea and investing in films will be normalized in 5 years, I'm hoping. And I think in distribution, the biggest change will be film markets slowly disappearing. Like AFM had its slowest year last year, and I think it'll be even slower this year. Netflix does not even participate there. And you'll see Cannes Film Festival. I mean, I was there. We sold a couple movies, and I got a movie there. But I think it's losing the momentum that it always had. I don't know the numbers in terms of how the volume of transactions in Cannes this year, but I know that there's a lot of new platforms like Wooler, based out of Singapore. They let people buy and sell movies, licensed movies every day, and you don't have to just get on a plane from LA and go fly into Cannes and pay thousands of dollars for accommodation for no reason, right? And then get these, basically spend 7 days and try to buy and sell movies. Now that the streaming platforms, there's about 500 new streaming platforms in the past 2 years. And that means we're based in Universal Studios, so I witnessed 70 to 100 movies being bought and sold every year. And this year has been the fastest year I've ever witnessed. We usually stop selling Christmas movies August 31st, and this year, December 24th, we were still making deals. So I think it's changing fast, and in the next 5 years, distribution will be key in terms of disruption with Web3 and production. We'll talk about the rest later.
Thank you, Ollie.
Of course.
Ollie, Leo, Akeem, Adam, thank you very much. And that's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.